As long as I stand, Babylon lives.
All flames die, Ira, even yours.
Why fight? The dark always wins.
You are nothing. I am fire incarnate. I built worlds. Now I crush them. Run or rot. Makes no difference.
The storm was never gone, only waiting.
I am the end. You cannot stop me.
The night had settled heavily over Babylon, its darkness pressing down like the weight of an unforgiving sky. The stars above, once symbols of hope and guidance, now seemed distant, cold, and indifferent to the suffering below. The fires from the battle had been extinguished, but their ghostly glow still lingered in the air, casting long shadows across the ruined city.
This was not how it was supposed to be.
The sword had saved him. It had saved Babylon. But at what cost? The city he had sworn to protect lay in ruins, its people either dead or scattered. The title of hero felt like a bitter mockery, a cruel joke played by the gods.
I left them when they needed me most.
He had believed in his strength, in his sword, in the destiny that had been laid before him. But the enemy had been patient, waiting for the moment he was most blind to their true intent. Now the city lay broken, and so did he.
What good is a hero who fails his people?
As the night wore on, Ira knew what he had to do. The time had come to face the consequences of his actions, to confront the truth of his failures. He could not hide from it any longer, could not bury the guilt beneath layers of duty and resolve. He had to face the king, had to admit to his mistakes and accept whatever judgment would come. The palace itself, though still standing, bore the scars of the battle. The great doors were splintered and charred, the walls marred by the marks of claw and fire. The once grand hallways, adorned with tapestries and treasures from across the empire, were now empty and cold, the echoes of footsteps the only sound in the vast emptiness.
I had a feeling you would come.
Your Majesty, I have come to admit my failures. The destruction of Babylon. It is partly my fault if I had not left the city, if I had not pursued the Persian army.
You did what you thought was right. You fought for Babylon, for its people, for me. You have nothing to be ashamed of.
But I left the city vulnerable. I should have stayed, should have defended it, if I had been here.
If you had been here, you would have fought bravely, but the outcome may not have been any different. The monsters! They were unlike any enemy we have faced before. Even if you had been here, Ira, the city would have suffered.
I cannot accept that. Your Majesty, the people? They looked to me for protection, and I failed them. I cannot continue to serve you, not after this.
Ira, you are not to blame. This was a tragedy, but it was not your doing. You fought with everything you had, and you saved countless lives. Without you, there would be no Babylon left to rebuild.
I beg you, Your Majesty, relieve me of my duties. I am not worthy to serve as your protector.
Banish you! Ira, Babylon cannot live without you for even a day. Enemies are everywhere. If we lose you, our people would live a life of slavery under the heel of the Persian Empire. Rebuilding Babylon might take time, but that is not as important as losing our sovereignty. Babylon needs you, Ira, not just as a warrior, but as a symbol of hope. You have fought for this city, bled for it, and now, in its darkest hour, it needs you more than ever. You cannot walk away from that responsibility.
But I failed.
You are a human, Ira. None of us are infallible. What matters is that you are here now, willing to continue the fight. Babylon can be rebuilt, but it cannot survive without those who are willing to stand and defend it. You are one of those people, Ira. You always have been. Do not punish yourself for what happened. Instead, use it to drive you forward. There is still work to be done, battles to be fought, and I cannot think of anyone I would rather have at my side than you.
Thank you. Your Majesty, I will not fail you again.
I know you won't. Ira, together we will rebuild this city, and we will show the world that Babylon is not so easily broken.
The vast halls of Persepolis, once filled with the sounds of triumph and celebration, were now eerily silent. The great palace, with its towering columns and opulent tapestries, felt more like a mausoleum than the seat of a mighty empire. The shadows that clung to the walls seemed to pulse with the weight of failure, as if they too had become infected by the despair that gnawed at the heart of Cyrus the Great. He had not slept in days, not since the news of the fourth defeat against Babylon had reached his ears. His mind was a battlefield of its own, plagued by the memories of every failed campaign, every bitter defeat.
How can this be?
He had thrown everything he had at Babylon, armies of thousands, towering giants, fire-breathing dragons, even the dark forces conjured by Ninmagus. And yet, each time he had been repelled, beaten back by the walls of that cursed city and the relentless force of its mysterious protector, Ira. The very thought of that name sent a spike of rage through Cyrus's heart, but it was quickly smothered by the heavy blanket of despair that had settled over him. Babylon, the jewel of the ancient world, had become his obsession, a prize he could not claim, a challenge he could not conquer. It had become a wound that refused to heal, festering in his soul, sapping his strength, turning his once unshakable confidence into doubt and despair. The throne room of Persepolis was a place of grandeur, its walls adorned with gold and precious stones, its ceiling high and vaulted, decorated with images of the Ish and the great deeds of the Persian kings. But tonight it felt cold and empty, its vastness only serving to magnify the loneliness that had taken hold of Cyrus's heart.
I was meant to rule all, to command fate itself, and yet...
Disappointment gnawed at every step, a relentless presence that clung to him like a shadow. He had always prided himself on his ability to conquer, to bend the world to his will. But Babylon had defied him, had stood against his might, and emerged victorious time and time again. He could still see the fires burning in the distance, the plumes of smoke rising from the city's walls, the screams of his soldiers as they fell before the icy onslaught of Ira and his cursed sword. The image was seared into his mind, a constant reminder of his failure, a failure that had now become a part of him, entwined with his very being.
How has one man done this to me?
He had used every tool at his disposal, had summoned the mightiest armies, had called upon the most fearsome beasts, had even dabbled in the dark arts, all in the name of victory. But each time, he had been met with defeat, his forces crushed, his plans thwarted. And now, after 4 attempts, he was left with nothing but the bitter taste of failure.
I will not let this stand.
Could he swallow this defeat? The answer was clear. No. A conqueror like Cyrus the Great could not accept defeat, could not allow his legacy to be tarnished by the specter of failure. But what more could he do? He had exhausted every resource, had thrown everything he had at Babylon, and still it stood defiant, a symbol of his impotence.
There must be a way.
The thought of Ira, the mysterious warrior who had become the bane of his existence, filled him with a cold, simmering rage. How could one man, one lone protector, stand against the might of the Persian Empire? It defied reason, defied everything Cyrus had ever believed in. Ira was no ordinary man. Of that, Cyrus was certain. He was something more, something otherworldly, something that had been sent to thwart his ambitions at every turn.
You have fallen.
It was still him, still Cyrus the Great, but different. The eyes staring back were darker, gleaming with cold amusement. The face, though identical, held none of the exhaustion he felt, only a knowing, predatory smile.
You are a conqueror, Cyrus. A man born to rule, to bend the world to your will. And yet, here you stand wallowing in defeat. How pathetic.
Who are you?
I'm you. The part of you that you have buried. The part that knows no fear, no hesitation. The part that does not care for morality or doubt. I am the shadow that follows you. The truth you refuse to see.
And what do you want from me?
I want you to remember who you are. Cast aside these doubts. Conquerors do not bow to failure. They rise, strike again, and take what is theirs.
I have tried, and I have failed. Babylon stands, and Ira, he is too powerful.
Ira is no god. He can be defeated.
How? What more can I do?
Breathe.
Bree. What is Bree?
Bree is power. Bria's darkness given form. The weapon that will crush your enemies. The key to Babylon's fall.
And where do I find this Bree?
Bree will come when the time is right. But you must be patient. You must be willing to embrace your true nature. When the moment arrives, he will be yours.
And the cost?
Every victory has a price. But you have already chosen your path. There is no turning back.
I will do whatever it takes. I will not be defeated again.
Good. Prepare yourself. The final battle is near. When the time comes, Bree will be yours, and Babylon will fall.
The conqueror had made his choice. He had embraced the darkness, and soon he would learn the true cost of victory.